Aliante is another master plan like Seven Hills. Dan developed Seven Hills, which we're in, but then they did a new master plan, Aliante, in North Las Vegas, that's been very successful. You know, I think as long as you're in a master plan, you're going to be okay. I don't think there's a certain side of town that's better than the other. I mean, people swear that Summerlin's the best side of town, and others say this side of town is the best side of town. I think you just got to be in a master plan where there's CC&Rs and they can't build a mobile home right next door or a nail shop. It's just strictly a planned community. You're going to get your dollars out. There's some place in Italy called Seven Hills, and so they've named everything after Italian. It's a whole Italian theme going on.
Volare, oh, cantare, oh, let's fly.
What's big in Las Vegas in the custom homes is people want home theaters. They want a wine room. They want a big kitchen, 2 dishwashers. They want an elevator. They want a laundry room up and down because the houses are getting big. So now you're having 2 laundry rooms. They want all that stuff. So the house has to get pretty darn big, and they're just maxing out the lot. I'm doing the same thing. My house is big. You just make it as big as you can. I could not have paid for the construction of that house if I hadn't got the loan to value, which means they appraised the house when it was done and loan me money as if what it would sell for. So I didn't have to come up with anything for the construction. So that's a very ingenious way to get people to continue construction on expensive homes. If that interest rate goes up by the time we move in April, I might not be able to afford the house anymore. If you look like you make money, I guess eventually you will, So.
Let's fly away.
To develop a better understanding of the wise use of credit, let's spend a few minutes with a certain individual we'll call Mr. Money.
Oh, hi, Mr. Money.
Hello, John. And how are you today, Judy?
Just great.
You remember our learning machine over there?
Well, sure, that's a great gadget.
What's it going to teach us today, Mr. Money?
I'll turn it on and you'll see.
I want to talk to you right now about a fundamental threat to American democracy.
The United States today became a debtor nation. For the first time since World War I, this country owes foreigners more money than foreigners owe the USA.
President Reagan urged consumers today to keep on spending, predicting that economic expansion will continue.
Our biggest single problem is, folks, we're going broke. The ordinary fellow's about to figure that out. We just have been so rich for so long, we think we can do anything we want to.
And that's why I've asked the American people to foot the tab for $20 billion of reconstruction. Others are stepping up.
We have this much coming in, we have this much going out, and we are in financial trouble.
Hello. Nice to be here. How are you doing? Good. Good. Nice to be here. I'm broke. Anybody else broke?
I think that there is a natural fascination that we all have in how rich and famous people live. And so people always want the larger than life. Nobody would watch Lifestyles of the Poor and Unknown. And without mocking or being rude, it's because those people still want to dream. So they want to look upwards. They don't want to look behind them. They want to escape in a fantasy that says, yes, I will be king for a day. Yes, I will be queen for a day.
Julie is on the line. Hi, Julie. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
We got behind in our bills.
Because interest and penalties is now $8,000 has become $20,000.
I got to the point where I can actually open the bills that come, because before I just threw them away. And now I just throw them all into a big cardboard box.
So what are you group of adults going to do about the money that you owe?
Well, bankruptcy is my idea.
Mm-hmm. So you think that you should just not pay these people that you owe?
Well, no, I really like to. I just don't know how in the world I would do it.
I do.
Okay.
Get a job. Don't go back to school right now.
Okay.
I've made it and lost it. I mean, we started with nothing, built up a portfolio of over $4 million worth of real estate. By the time I was 26, lost it all because I was stupid. And so I've done stupid with zeros on the end. I know what it looks like. And so having been there, done that, got the t-shirt, know what it feels like to get sued, what it feels like to get foreclosed on, what it feels like to have your marriage hanging by a thread, you know, where you're just about to kill each other. You're fighting so hard. I mean, Sharon and I didn't get a divorce. We held on, but sometimes it was just to get a better grip. You know, it was not pretty. You know, we sold the Jaguar the day before they towed it off when we went broke. So I understand, and I cried. I hate to admit it, but I did. They took my Jaguar. You know, it was not nice. And I was entitled to that Jaguar. Why? Because I was the man. Wrong. They will take the stupid thing if you don't pay for it. That's how life works. And so stuff like that, pain like that, will break your sense of entitlement. But I think there's this societal push of if you don't have something, you're deficit, and it's not your job to go get it.
Well, of course, some people prefer to wait to buy the things they want until they've saved enough money to pay cash for them. However, there are many people who prefer to buy things on credit.
But, Mr. Money, doesn't it cost more to buy things on credit?
Oh, yes, it does, Judy.
The best things in life are free.
The credit card companies keep flooding our mailboxes with 4 billion offers a year.
As of the end of September, banks alone had made available $3 trillion of credit on their cards.
They want you to charge things costing only a few bucks, like a burger,
Get your receipt for your card,
or a latte, or a soda from a vending machine.
Credit card fees have gone up 160% over the last 5 years.
Consumer lending is grossly profitable. I can't even find the right word to give you here. Consumer lending is obscenely profitable.
We want to appeal to the broad scale, not just the upscale or not just a certain segment of the market.
The average American household has more than $9,000 in credit card debt and spends more than $1,300 a year in interest payments.
When I got involved in this business back in the 80s, we were paying $15 for over limit and late fees. I just recently saw that raise to $43. Think about that. $43 if you're late, $43 if you're over limit. $86 on your credit card statement before you even do anything. Then your interest rate is going to jump to 21.9 and then all the way up to 28.9.
So they want you to be late.
They want you to be late.
You know who one of the most popular customers of credit card companies is right now? People who've been through bankruptcy. The reason, as one of the vice presidents of MasterCard once explained to me, is we know two things about them. One is that they can't file for bankruptcy again. And the second is they have a taste for credit. And I said, what does that mean? And he said, well, they're willing to make minimum monthly payments forever. And that's where we make our money.
Lots and lots of toning, Jill. There's $39. Here's $39. There's $39. And look here, it's the Abtronic. The future of fitness. What we have here is a flimsy belt with some snaps on it, on which you snap this little device and it sends these chiropractic-like shocks through your abdomen, which give you those six-pack abs that we all crave so much. Doesn't work. Long story short, my first wife left me for the neighbor's brother. The absence of her income caused me to have to close my commercial office in downtown Oklahoma City. being on one income, I had to either, pay for the house or pay for the office. So I ended up filing bankruptcy because I wanted to avoid paying off all of her medical bills and all of her credit cards and all of her debts that she had, because she was just debt queen. But after she left, I filed bankruptcy, and I'd say it was probably no more than a couple of months later after the discharge, or maybe even after I filed, Providian sent me an application. Anyway, guys, this was supposed to be 4 equal payments of $29. It ended up costing me $176 and some odd cents. After contacting Providian month after month, week after week, telling them the same story over and over and over, sending copies of the same documents over and over, I finally got tired of it and registered ProvidianFinancialSucks.com. I especially like reading the posts by the thoughtful and witty Providian employees. Ha ha! You are going to have a big fat lawsuit on your hands for putting Providian information on the net. Providian knows about your website. I hope you have a lot of money to fork out for an attorney. Oh, but then again, if you had a lot of money, you would not have a Providian card. Good luck. An actual Providian employee told me all about how they hold checks until the accounts both go late and go over credit fee, generating another $70 per account for Providian. She said some of the checks they hold, some of them they just shred.
The man President Bush tapped to lead his new SWAT team on corporate crime, Deputy Attorney General Larry Thompson, now faces questions about his ties to a troubled credit card firm, the Providian Corporation.
I spent 13 years in the bank, in the retail side. Over the years, we went through quite a few mergers and name changes, and there was Citizens Bank and Trust Company and Clark County State Bank. They formed a new bank called Commerce America, and we changed our name to INB Banking Company, which merged with NBD, National Bank of Detroit, which merged with First Chicago. And so when I left the bank in 2001, it was under the name Bank One. And of course, now Bank One is merged with JP Morgan Chase, and that's a whole other list of mergers to get to that point. So, I mean, I know for a fact that some of the banks locally are not wanting experienced bank people. They're hiring people that have managed like stores in the mall. Their whole approach is that they want somebody that's retail driven, that can sell. Not that they necessarily understand what's right or how it works or anything else.
Sell that.
You gotta sell credit cards, you gotta sell overdraft protection, you gotta sell investments, you gotta sell mortgages, you gotta sell car loans, you gotta sell home equity, you have to sell credit insurance. Suggest you go on vacation. Suggest that you remodel or you buy a car. This is even better. Sister that's in the nursing home gets an offer of credit. Pre-selected for auto financing of up to $30,000. She's 35 years old, MS in nursing home, been there for 6 years, has no income. I mean, whatever Social Security she gets goes to the nursing home. You got a piece of mail offering you up to $30,000 so you can go buy you a car. What do you think about that? Just what you need, right?
I mean, this is what's remarkable about where we are in this economy. Credit card lending and subprime mortgage lending are so profitable that getting families to take on more debt will yield more money for these companies, even if the number of foreclosures and defaults keeps climbing.
And there's a reason for all of this. Now, federal law allows that if you or I stop paying on our credit card, that the creditor is mandated by federal law to charge it off if we don't make a payment for 180 days. During that 180 days is when all this credit hell is going on your account. From the date that you stop paying to the date that it charges off, that credit card issuer has amassed hundreds, perhaps even thousands of dollars in late, over limit, and additional credit fees. So that when the card does charge off, when they take the profit and loss, the P&L that goes on your credit report, that it's a highly inflated figure. That then even becomes a bigger figure when it moves over to the debt buyers, when they sell it and make more money on it. A lot of it's done today by bids. They'll put together a portfolio. It's $25, $50, $100 million, and then they have different grades of paper, A, B, C, or D, depending on the age and what type of accounts it is. What they're doing has been compared to the drug dealers of the 80s and the 90s, except that it's legal for now.
This is the auction site itself right here. Fractional ownerships, judgments. The big one is real estate debt. If you're holding a note on a home, you can post it on here.
The more debt, obviously, the more opportunity there is for delinquency, and the more opportunity then for collection. And we assume that will drive buyers and sellers to debt outlet. We're just bringing people together, almost like a dating service.
But for debt. That's a good one.
They're gamblers. They're going out, they're investing a few dollars in the portfolio, they're investing a few more dollars in computers and personnel, renting property. That's about it. Now they're gambling that you as a debtor can be coerced or frightened into making this investment into a huge windfall. Is it going to work? I don't know. And it's Vegas. Roll the dice and hope you're going to get something.
Here's something that we just recently put up as our map of the United States. So as a new company, we've secured licensing in, I believe it's about 30 out of 50 states. So, you know, we could buy debt in any one of those states that we're licensed in.
This is our collection floor. As you can see here, we have against the wall, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 collectors. This is actually pretty instrumental in most agencies.
It's like a scoreboard too. It goes back to that kind of sports analogy where, you know, you put it there in black and white, you have a scoreboard out there and you can keep track of how they're doing against each other on a daily basis.
That's good, huh?
Okay, well, see, you don't want to have any more judgments against you. They're going to start putting liens on your house. Yes, but $25 isn't going to stop you from eating. It's going to show that you actually want to start doing something on this on a voluntary basis. It's not going to go away, Ivan. Well, the police aren't going to be able to do anything for you because I'm not doing anything illegal, Ivan. And what are you going to tell them? That you're mad at me for calling you to make you pay your bill? Yes, we actually do, Ivan. I'm trying to do this in the easiest possible way for you.
You know, our company's called People First Recoveries for a reason, is that, you know, we put people first. We try to be professional with them, and we try to be, you know, stand up above, you know, just really treat them fair in what we're doing. And you know what? It's working. It's going to get people to work with us, you know.
You talk to them, you're reasonable, you find out why they got behind, you know, what caused the situation.
Well, and that's what's the key to me collecting. I got you on the phone. I was your best friend. I found out everything I could about you. And then, you know what? It gave me power. Information is power in this industry, and it pays off eventually.
How do you know how hard to push?
You know, there's a lot of things that motivate people. You can tack, you know, pride, fear, integrity, you know, what's a person's honor.
You know, it shows up, you know, private call. So my dad asked, you know, who was calling and asked if it was a bill collector. And he's like, well, you're awful damn nosy to my dad. And my dad has a short temper anyway. So he's like, well, you know, I need to know what you're calling about and stuff. And he's went on to say, you know, my wife's been missing for 6 months. And the guy's like, well, you're so damn nosy, you should be able to keep track of your wife and should be able to find her.
As soon as she went missing, that one of the first things that tipped us off is we started getting phone calls with that, really even the next day.
It was crazy. I bet we had 20 calls.
Within the first couple of days?
I mean, they were just relentless.
Like bloodhounds. And over the next few days, we were able to find out that there was a secret life that we didn't know about that revolved around some credit card bills. We found stacks of statements that had been hidden and stuffed in boxes.
You know, a box
storage.
inside of a box. And
we think that most of this goes back to a gambling spell she had a number of years ago. She had to know that her...
Well, Dad had ordered those credit reports.
Yeah.
My dad, from listening, my dad listens to Dave Ramsey too. He likes listening to him on the truck as he drives out to St. Louis and stuff. And you always talk about, ordering your credit report to check for identity theft and things like that. So they had ordered the credit reports and they were due in at any time. So we figured she knew that it was all going to come out.
A collector is going to look at an account. If this guy has a job, that could pay. If the person's talked to their family about help before, that could make it pay. If they don't have a lot of other debt, that could make it pay. If they're talking to you, that could make it pay. If they have
their spouse doesn't
numbers,
know.
Yeah.
I can just imagine that Friday before that Monday that she disappeared, I can just imagine her getting a phone call and somebody telling her that they were going to put her in jail.
Or take the house.
Or that they were going to take the house. Or they were going to put it in the paper and all her friends and neighbors would know. There's no telling what was said to her.
I mean, certainly when you first start off in this industry, if you don't have a lot of experience, you're probably gonna push some people too far. I like to make the analogy that you're like this pirate on this pirate ship, right? And you got that person, and you're walking them out on the plank, and you walk them as far as you can out on that plank without pushing them off, and then you bring them back to get what you want.
The last time that she was seen was that morning, a few minutes after 9. She went down to the Walmart gas station right down the road here and put $7 worth of gas in, so you know with the gas prices that's not very much gasoline.
This is the one spot that the police had talked about. Because I guess, I don't know much about suicide, but that's where the police speculate.
And the river, the water levels around here, the river has been high for over 18 months, so...
But it's getting down now, back in the banks, and they think that the lower the water will get, that either, somebody will see an antenna sticking out, or actually, a boat will hit the car, a barge, the Ohio River has a lot of barge traffic. You really see her driving her car in this?
Honey, I don't know. I don't see her. If it was gone this long and being alive,
Heck yeah, it feels great. It feels a lot like when you win a wrestling match. It feels a lot like, when you win a football game. It feels a lot like when you throw a touchdown pass. It's great. More importantly, it's paying the bills now. How many people, we all like to be athletes, but how many people find something competitive that they can pay a bill with? How many people can go out and work their tail off for 30 days, and on that last day of the month, hit a goal, make an achievement, get a paycheck, pay your rent, buy a new car, buy a house, buy presents for your family? That's a big deal, and that's why this is a fun industry for collectors.
Bank called me up, they're like, "Hi, we're calling because you don't have enough money." I'm like, "I know." She's like, "Sir, you have insufficient funds." Well, that's a good way to put it too. I agree with that. I find my funds to be grossly insufficient. Thanks for calling. Why are you mad at me? I don't understand what. How is this something I'm doing to you? She's like, "Sir, you only have $20. That's not enough. You can't only have $20. I'm like, "Look, I'm not being broke just to fuck with you. I just really don't have any money. I'm not trying to be a dick. My life is shitty." So they charged me. They charged me $15. That's how much it costs to only have $20.
Where can the self-respecting employed family of today turn for aid? Not to nature, as did the pioneer of 1833. It must turn somewhere. What is the answer?
Motorcycles, Rolex watches, very expensive binoculars. But we sell quite a bit of adult videos. We have some people come in here and they look like for 20 minutes. I go, "What are you looking for, a different plot?" We try not to take any watch that's not gold. Cheap watch, cheap watch, cheap watch, cheap watch. I don't want to be misleading. $200, $300, $400 at Costco. Well, so who's going to come and pay very much for it here? Because you can go buy a new one, and new ones, frankly, I shouldn't say this, but new is nice. We are their bank. They don't have a checking account. They don't have a bank account. They depend on us or another pawn shop. And we've had customers, God, 10, 11, 12 years. We have one customer, their jewelry has been here, and his gun, and I mean, he's put 11, 12 years, right? And now he's 2 months late on his loans, and the girls haven't put his stuff up for sale. Because how do you do that to somebody? The pawn shop business, it's just like all the other businesses in this economy. We're fighting losing customers.
Right.
All right. There's check cashing places. There's credit cards at low interest. People are refinancing their houses at low interest. I don't think a pawn shop can compete. Okay. In this market with the check cashing places the interest rate is just phenomenal what they charge. Okay, and I thought we charged a high rate. Still, people are going and using the check cashing places. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. We want you to have a good deal. We want to lend you money. We want you to come back and get your stuff. If you don't come back, we want to sell it to the next guy. We want him to have a good price on it. We want to make money. We want to put the kids through college. Feed the dog and feed the mortgage. It's a very easy, simple thing, and it's not all that simple anymore. See? We even borrow money.
Who do you borrow money from?
From a big bank. Wells Fargo. Wait a minute. Wells Fargo bought Cash America. The big 300. I'll be darned. That's interesting. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're so trusting of the system because we see names like Bank of America and Bank this and Bank that. Well, gosh, they're not going to take advantage of me. And exactly the opposite is true. Those are the entities that will take advantage of you.
And one of the vice presidents of Citigroup called me in my academic office and said, I'd like to do a seminar for all of the executives here. And would you come in and present your statistics on bankruptcy? He had a new book out about bankruptcy. And he said, I think this is going to be very enlightening for people. And I said, sure. And I came in and I had all my little charts and graphs. And in effect, my message was, if you would screen the weakest customers, those who are overloaded on debt and least likely to be able to pay, you could cut your bankruptcy losses by 50% in the blink of an eye. And, this is several hours of presentation, of course, but lots of data to back it up and arguments back and forth. And there'd been some discussion and there was much in the room. Talk about this. And then, a fellow in the back said, Professor Warren. And everyone got quiet. And, it's that classic moment when you realize that's the guy who has all the power here. And he said, very interesting. He said, but if we cut those people off, that's where we make all of our profits. And we won't make nearly as much money.
You cut out the people who are right there on the end.
If you cut out the people who are least likely to be able to repay, if you cut out the most marginal borrowers, the ones who are deepest in trouble, then you're cutting out the heart of our profits, because that's where we make most of our money.
I started out just, sort of a garden variety police reporter, working for a daily newspaper in Virginia. I wanted to write about why it was so difficult for folks to get out of poverty. When I first started doing this reporting, I had this perception that these folks who were sort of bottom feeding on the economy were just local players. They were fly-by-nighters or mom-and-pop operations. But as I did more and more reporting, I came to realize it was corporate America. Citibank, Chase Manhattan, Household Finance, the companies that were bankrolling these local financial outlets were the biggest corporations in the world, are making significant portions of their profits off of lending money to low-income folks in little towns and big cities all over the country. Hi, John. How are you? How old is John? John is
44.
44 now? Tell me about the loan that this preacher lady basically told you that you should get a loan to pay off your credit cards, right? And you wanted to take care of those credit card bills because you were worried about just having enough money to buy food and all that kind of
Right.
stuff.
I didn't have money to take care of John because his money was going into the bills. Well, so is mine.
Right. It was a struggle to get it paid every
Yeah, he
month.
was struggling to get it paid off.
We got into some financial bind, and so this is what's causing us to go to the, city financial.
Let me tell you how I got in with that. That was a meat company.
So you just wanted to get some meat to put in the freezer.
My father had passed away. I took my father off the mortgage, and then we refinanced so I could put myself on it. Hopefully, it'll bring down the monthly payments.
And they sit down, and if they do read the papers, they may see there's something questionable here. There's some charges and fees I didn't expect.
They said at the last minute we had to rework some numbers.
She just told me it's going to be lower than what I was paying then.
And it went up instead of going down.
But I was trusting the minister because she was telling me that was the best way out.
At this point, they're so desperate that they've got, the money tomorrow. They're supposed to pay somebody off the next day, and so they just go ahead and sign.
I just threw down the papers in front of my husband and just started telling him where to sign.
This is going to be all right. Just put your little name right here and stuff. That's all we need, your little signature right here.
She showed him where to sign it.
He copied
So he wrote
his name
and put it on where he told him to put it.
Name.
and that's good. And that's just the way he did it. That's the way he did it at the loan office.
That's cool.
After slavery, we went to the sharecropping system, and it was really a debt system, a sort of debt slavery where people got caught owing money to the bank or owing money to the landowner and could never really get out of debt. And that's kind of where we are now.
I got into this, but they tried to take my house.
Then the sheriff brought me a paper saying you got to move. Your house has been sold foreclosed.
Mother's Day, my mom sat on the porch and a lady came up with her husband to the window, the door. My mom said, may I help you? And she said, well, your house is in the paper for foreclosure.
Which they did. They put it in the paper, and that was so embarrassed.
They just raped us.
Some people from City Finance called me, and he kept threatening me about the bill.
What would they say to you on the phone?
They were wanting to know when I was going to do something about my loan. Then I told him, later on, I told him, what is in the lawyer? How you talk to my lawyer? And he said, well, you got to tell your lawyer. I said, well, we going to foreclose the deed. Or what? Or you won't have no house to stay. What more important, your lawyer or your house?
We get thousands of complaints every year about credit card issues relating to the major banks, the major card issuers.
If we had a basis for concluding that a bank was involved in a practice that was unfair or deceptive, if it violated any of the other many consumer protection standards that apply to them, we can tell them to stop it immediately.
Out of the slime and darkness it comes to inflict its life-destroying poison on the careless, the unwary, the unprotected. Today, young people are flirting with a poison every bit as deadly as that of the snake. One of the potentials for traffic is the school. Here the connection can be found with these peddlers of misery who prey on the unwary, the uninformed, the curious, the thrill seekers. How does it happen? Where does it start? What are the signs? The pattern is generally the same.
Free gift, like Citibank card. You want to fill out a visa application, you get a free t-shirt. Just for filling it out? Just for filling it out.
It's the first time you're on your own, the first time you're allowed to, sign forms. Everyone's 18 or older and stuff, so they can speak for themselves. And especially when you get like a, cool little backpack or a Frisbee for free or something just for signing a form, And basically you don't realize that you're getting yourself into, even if you don't get a credit card, you're putting your name on multiple lists of companies that will just target you later down the road, and it's never ending.
So does the university get a cut of the money?
You know, I would think they have to pay them something to use their logo.
To use the logo?
We're going to meet two high school graduates who had a great idea. A credit card company is sponsoring their way, paying their tuition.
And in return, you will plaster your body with logos.
Using their bodies as billboards.
We're thrilled to be working with First USA. We came up with the idea while looking at colleges out in California. We were looking at University of Southern California and Pepperdine, and we realized that Pepperdine's $40,000 a year. How are we going to ever afford that without going into debt?
And so we got the idea of trying to get a sponsor because we figured, we weren't going to be able to raise that much money.
When we first talked to First USA, we gave our boundaries. We said we did not want to be walking billboards, handing out applications to college students. We wanted to be spokespeople for financial responsibility.
In the first part of the deal, they even gave us surfboards with the First USA logo on the bottom. So whenever we'd go up to like Malibu Beach or when I'd visit Chris up in Pepperdine and stuff, we'd always use our surfboards. We'd have the First USA logo there.
What does surfing have to do with responsible? I think it's giving I think surfing has a cool image to these two New Jersey guys going off to LA to become pro celebrity surfers and college spokes guys. We're not really celebrity surfers, but I'm sure that was a cool image and that's what the bank wanted us to do, so we did it.
I guess how Bill Cosby is to Jell-O, and that'd be us to credit cards, but it kind of didn't really, it didn't really work out.
We wanted to delve deeper into the financial responsibility aspects, but I think First USA was just a little bit more interested in getting the credit card signups.
These young men and women preparing themselves for a successful and happy life. Before they borrow cash or buy anything on installments, they should carefully figure whether the benefits of credit service are worth the extra charge.
Well, there's sure a lot of things that I'd like to buy for better living. How about giving me a little credit?
Nobody gives you credit, John. It's something you have to earn.
I don't understand, Mr. Money. How can you earn credit?
Sean was 18, and we took him to the University of Texas at Dallas. He was a National Merit Scholar, and he was so happy to be going to the big city, to go to Dallas. We drove up that first day, and there were tables of people signing up for credit cards. But, I didn't worry. He's 18, he's unemployed. Who's going to give him a credit card? He went back for his sophomore year, and I noticed he was getting depressed, and he was working more hours, and he was buying things, and I didn't know why. Because it didn't ask, I just didn't ask. And it got to the point that he had gotten, at that point, 12 credit cards. I mean, he was making minimum wage. He had 2 MasterCards and a Visa. I think he had Discover, and he had Neiman Marcus, and all these credit cards. But did I ever sit down and say, are you $12,000 in debt? No, because it never occurred to me that a college student can be that far in credit card debt. That's not something that was in my world. It was never in your world.
No. We moved her to University of Central Oklahoma in Edmond, August of '97. And she had gotten credit card right off the bat there at the college, at the student union. I didn't know anything about it, and she had only made one payment to the first one, and then the second one had given her a credit card. Third one gave her a credit card. She didn't have a credit history with them. She was months behind on her first credit card she got. I don't think they checked what the people write down as far as where you work, how long you've worked, or whatever, because Mitzi had a part-time job, 12 hours a week, and got 3 credit cards. Now, I know in '72, when her dad and I got married, we both worked 40-hour week jobs, applied for a credit card and couldn't get one. But then in 1997, they can, on doing nothing.
Can you explain how banks determine the creditworthiness of an 18-year-old college student, which is apparently one of their key targets?
The
credit card issuers use a variety of models to try to model the risk of certain populations that they will offer cards to. And they can look at their experience with individuals that attend particular types of schools, what the credit performance experience has been.
If you are 18 and you're not in college, or you're 18 and you're a VOTEC student, or you're 18 and you're working, you don't get the credit card applications. It's the college students that get it. So if you're going out there and you've got a job and you're actually working, they don't want you. Because maybe they figure you know the value of $1 then, but those people don't get it. So we're setting up a two-tiered system here. And they're just, I believe they're exploiting the college students. An easy market.
When we went to the Capitol with the senator to pass this bill, we were up against 8-10 bankers, lobbying for this bill not to pass.
Sitting there, just two moms, and in front of us were the bankers talking about, well, I'm going to contribute, I believe it was $1,500 to your campaign, and somebody else, and we're just two moms sitting there, and they were big contributors. And that bill didn't have a chance. Nobody wanted to listen to us. They wanted to listen to the money.
To earn credit, first you have to develop your character. You have to be trustworthy. Second, you have to have capacity to pay your bills. And third, you need some capital in the form of savings and other property. Scoring high on these 3 C's is essential to earn a good credit rating.
Gee, I bet my dad scores high on the 3 C's.
Oh, that's right, Judy. Your father has an excellent credit rating. Here's his record at the Credit Bureau.
Why, it goes way back before I was born.
People would really be shocked if they knew that as they went through their day, purchasing things, using their credit card, signing a check, putting their name on some piece of paper, and ultimately that information is being scooped up behind them. Here comes the Credit Bureau with a little dust tray and a broom, and they're scooping up information behind them that is then used to derive the numerical assessment.
You hear me say it over and over and over again, that one of the most important parts of your entire financial foundation is your FICO score. Your FICO score determines the interest rates that you pay on car loans, credit cards, mortgages, whether you get a cell phone, whether a landlord will rent to you, many times if an employer will hire you. It has to do with everything.
They portray it as being like the Coca-Cola formula, that each of their algorithms are akin to the Coca-Cola formula. But in reality, they want to keep it secretive because they don't want to be attacked on the basis of discrimination or to be shown that there is some defective logic behind it. Well, it's a continuous fight to get at the inner workings of the credit scoring process.
Well, the problem is that I won't say most, but a good chunk of the public has at least one error or inaccuracy on their credit bureau that can adversely affect them. And the cards are stacked against you to get that fixed. Even if you absolutely know as the officer there at the bank that this stuff is not this person's, there's another John Smith, and you know that this is, because you've documented for you've dealt with that client for the last 20 years, you still are beating your head against the wall.
I'll see, we bought this place, would be like 32 years ago. We used to be the only people out here. This is our chicken coops over here. My husband, Harold, he raises hogs, and he does farm. We got some fields back there. I got sick back in '92, and so my brother donated a kidney to me. And so him and I were close anyway. Now I guess you'd say we're closer. But so I was helping him try to get a vehicle.
We were trying to make a deal for a pickup, and we got into the office, one of the offices, and they started doing a credit check or something to do the final paperwork or something like that, and it gentleman come back and said that Doris was deceased and there was going to be a problem.
What I've found out, my loan that I had taken out from my daughter that is deceased, it was supposed to be put on there as transferred and forgiven by the government, and someone put in there as that I was deceased. So yeah, I was just a real big typographical error.
He could have gave her the benefit of the doubt, and he could have said, well, my God, there's a mistake in the computer end of it. Not look at her and say, I'm going to call the cops because obviously you must be the criminal. There was a salesman on the floor that personally knew her. I mean, if he had done 2 minutes of checking of his own people or his own computer, he would have found out who she was and that she was the, in fact, Doris Goldman. He read that little screen and it said, well, you must be a criminal. Well, that's what really hurts right there.
From then on has been just, you know, trying to clear my name that I was not deceased.
They're not interested in fixing inaccuracies. If they had, they would have done something about it a long time ago. They know what the problems are. They're just not going to fix them.
Too expensive.
No, it's not too expensive to fix it. It's contrary to what their objectives are. Their objective is to simply to satisfy the furnisher of information, the user, the industry.
The first day that you work the account, you usually pull the person's credit bureau report. So we have a direct link on with our software on the computer system. It's almost all like private investigation work, you know, but it's sites that you have access to, and you go in there and, you know, you're just hunting. So this is an online program.
Basically what you can do on this is type in their social security number. It's going to give me every previous address that he's been at, back up to 20 years, possible neighbors.
It's not illegal for us to call your neighbors and try to get a message to you. You can have a neighbor try to get you to call back, and you know, how embarrassing is that to somebody if, you know, they have to get a message through a neighbor.
I find it more effective if you actually reach a relative of theirs, because obviously that's a little more embarrassing.
A few years ago, a close friend of mine who's an in-house counsel to a sheriff here in a Louisiana parish called me and he says, David, he says, Equifax has come here to the sheriff's office and they want to give us a terminal, but we don't really need one. He says, can we just hook them up? They said we can hook them up on everybody's desk. And I said, well, what legitimate business need do you have for a credit reporting terminal there at the sheriff's office? Well, I don't know. They said we could pull it on suspects and people, you know, we can pull a credit report on anybody we want. And I said, no, that's not true. And I said, well, what did they ask from you reciprocally? Well, they want us to provide information to them. About what? About everything we do. Everything from tax deeds to tax liens to criminal matter. They just want us to report a lot of information back to them. And they're using that information, manipulating the data, repackaging it and reselling it and sharing it and spreading it around because consumers, they think they have privacy. I mean, if I walked up to you on the street and I said, well, tell me about your right to privacy from me or from a company as a private individual, you'd say, well, the Constitution. No, the Constitution doesn't provide you a right to privacy from me. It provides you a right to privacy from the government. Where's your right to privacy from me? If I want to get in your hair and study everything about you, where is your right to privacy from me? And the fact is, you don't have a constitutional right.
The chairman's question to you, do you need additional legislative authority? You're telling us this morning that you have all the authority you need to get this data that we're talking about.
Well, we have purchased private credit card data. Whether we need more authority to get more data is something I can't answer right now.
Where does the credit card data come from?
It's from a private company, and I'm not sure whether I should say that, and I'm not sure. Let me check with our lawyers, and I'll get you the information on it.
I never thought I'd have to even go down for one deposition like we did in June, or I did. Bud's been with me on both my depositions.
My God, they had seven different lawyers sitting on the opposite side of the table. You think, and some of them came from across the country. It was being videotaped. It was being audio tape and court reporter. I mean, that's a little intimidating too and stuff.
The second time in July when I went down, I did break down twice and cried. You know, 8 hours of hearing about your deceased daughter. That's a lot. You know, you have to explain. Is she really dead?
Let me say a word to you who are struggling with debt right now. A bad attitude about money got you in debt. Whenever I'm counseling a couple who's having financial difficulties, I'll say, give me your budget now. What's your income? How much you're spending? Where are you putting it? And if I don't see tithes and offerings at the top, I'll say, there's your problem right there. You're robbing from God. Oh, we can't afford right now, Pastor. No, you can't afford not to. If you need a miracle, you better put the miracle working God in your budget. I've never led people into that they can come back a few months later and say, I don't know how it works, but it does. I don't know how in the world. Well, I give more to God, have less to keep. I wind up with more. That's spiritual mathematics.
Many people we have a really nice rapport with, and we ask them, what's happening? Well, I'm not working, and I got laid off. My father died, I didn't have enough money for the burial. There's so many reasons. A lot of people come in here, I need this operation, I had that operation, my mother's sick. So a lot of people without health insurance come in here. And a lot of people without car insurance come in here too. They need that money for that transmission or that engine or that whatever. But basically it's food, rent, and a bit of entertainment. Just survival. They're having a hell of a time.
The United States government has been collecting data for more than a century on how families spend their money. So I got someone to do all the statistics for me who was in the government, who was very cooperative, and we matched mom, dad, and 2 kids in the early 1970s with mom, dad, and 2 kids today. Median earner. Today's family actually has less money to cover food, clothing, insurance, games, toys, entertainment, everything you want to cover. The real point is the basics are driving families right to the edge. What it costs to have a house, to have health insurance, to have child care, to have 2 cars so that you can both get to work. And I run into some very smart people in our Congress, and I ask the question, so what's the long-term plan here? What happens when the bills come due? What do the grand thinkers have in mind here? And all I ever get is this sort of blank half smile.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, George Walker Bush.
In America's ideal of freedom, citizens find the dignity and security of economic independence. Instead of laboring on the edge of subsistence, we will build an ownership society to give every American a stake in the promise and future of our country.
Well, I've been working at Lookout Mountain Police Department for quite a few years, and then I decided to join the military and be an MP because I figured that would help my career, and of course, after September 11th, that's all my career was the military. And right before I got deployed overseas, I got married, and we had a kid.
We knew it was going to be a boy.
Yeah, we found out before I went overseas. I wanted to know in case anything happened. I was on continuous orders for 23 months. You know, that's not normal for a guard unit. Usually it's only 6 months at a time. So, yeah, we were prepared for 6 months, but not 23 straight months. My job didn't help me out or anything like that, you know, like a lot of law enforcement agencies do. They make up the difference in the pay, you know, to help out their officers, but they didn't really do anything for that.
When you've got 3 different people you're having to support and then trying to pay bills and pay off credit cards at the same time, it's very hard. He was over in Iraq, and I called him and told him, we can't make a truck payment, a trailer payment, pay bills, pay the rest of the gas bills, and buy groceries. So we can't do all of that. I said, because there's just not enough money. And I just told him, I said, looks like the only way out is to file bankruptcy.
You know, this is one of the reasons the credit industry wants to change the bankruptcy bill, because it is the only single way that people can stop the collection. They say, that's it. I'm in bankruptcy, you can have all of my assets, but then it has to stop. If you can get rid of those bankruptcy laws, then it never has to stop. You can keep calling those people and collecting from them until they die.
In recent years, too many people have abused the bankruptcy laws. They walked away from debts even when they had the ability to repay them. This has made credit less affordable and less accessible, especially for low-income workers who already face financial obstacles.
Chair asks the House come to order so that we may continue and conclude debate.
This bill severely hurts a middle-class citizen's ability to get a second chance.
Without objection.
It's morally bankrupt. It puts credit card companies ahead of children.
Bill does not accommodate the 50 million uninsured Americans forced into bankruptcy by health care costs.
This bill puts credit card companies ahead of children and does not protect disabled veterans from debt creditors.
This bill does nothing to protect our heroic reservists and guards who are fighting for us every day.
Gentleman from Florida.
Thank you.
Because the Republicans have sold out to the credit card companies.
Without objection.
And they are hurting
Gentleman from Florida.
American families.
Without objection.
Speaker.
Slap in the face. Yeah, that was real hard on me. Real hard. That just kind of, I don't know, I didn't really care after that. Didn't really want to do anything. So, but I knew I had a job to do, so I did it and come home.
Who were you most angry at?
I don't know, I just met a lot of different things. You know. The Army for not giving us more money, and for people not willing to work with us more, and just a lot of things.
He's helping so many people, I mean, millions and millions of people, giving them their freedom, and then, look, we're the ones suffering. It just doesn't seem fair. So, that was disturbing to me. So we're the ones suffering, even though he's out there, just working as hard as he can, and doing what he can, and hoping that he lives another day over there. So.
For those who feel like they haven't been treated as fairly as I would certainly have wanted to treat them, or I feel I have treated them, and others as well have treated them, we feel badly about that, and hope that they'll forgive us.
That looks great.
What do you think?
Oh my gosh. If you just take the moment to stop and go 100,000 million billion trillion, where there's another one, and it's amazing. This started when he sent New Year's cards to public officials saying, "This Happy New Year's, this is the debt."
I was very struck with the effectiveness of this message
because when we were building the original debt clock,